There's a place on this earth, 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, no bigger than the distance between two neighborhoods in a city you've never thought about. Every morning, the sun rises over it. Ships pass through it. Men with rifles watch from the cliffs above, and 30% of the world's oil moves through it every single day. If it closes, your gas prices spike, your heating bill doubles, entire economies go cold. 21 miles, that's all that stands between the world running and the world stopping. This is the Strait of Hormuz, and it doesn't care about you, it never did. Look at it from above. Really look. The Persian Gulf, a bathtub, landlocked on three sides. 6 nations pressing against its shores, each one with something to prove and something to lose. The only exit is here, this narrow throat of water between Iran and Oman. The Strait of Hormuz. Geographers call it a choke point. That's a soft word, a polite word. What they mean is a knife pressed against a vein. The water runs deep in the middle, 60 meters, enough for a fully loaded supertanker drawing 20-some meters of draft to pass without scraping the bottom, but only just. The margins are tight. They were designed that way, by nature, not by men, though men have used them as if they designed it themselves. 2 shipping lanes, each 2 miles wide, tankers going in, tankers going out, a buffer zone between them. Neutral in theory. Nothing is neutral here. On the northern shore, Iran. On the southern shore, Oman. And between them, invisible, a line that belongs to everyone and no one. Every 17 minutes, a tanker moves through this strait. 17 minutes, Saudi oil, Kuwaiti oil, UAE oil, Iraqi oil, Iranian oil. Qatar's liquefied natural gas, the kind that heats homes in Tokyo and powers factories in South Korea. The numbers are almost meaningless in their size. 17 to 18 million barrels a day. If that number means nothing to you, imagine 1 barrel, a drum. Now imagine 18 million of them every day, moving through a gap you could drive across in 30 minutes. The crews who sail these ships are mostly invisible. Filipino seamen, Indian engineers, Romanian officers watching radar screens in air-conditioned wheelhouses while the Middle Eastern sun beats the deck below to 60 degrees. They've learned not to look at the cliffs on the Iranian side. They focus on the instruments. They do not speak about what they see. This is the ritual. Every 17 minutes, day and night, every day of every year, an artery pumping. Iran has threatened to close it more than once, more than a dozen times. They call it leverage. The United States calls it a red line. Neither side has ever fully tested which one was right. And both sides know it. And both sides remember that the other side knows it. This is what passes for peace in the Strait of Hormuz. A permanent, quiet game of chicken conducted in international waters, watched from satellites 50,000 feet above. The Americans park their 5th Fleet in Bahrain, 12 minutes flying time away. Destroyers, carriers, submarine hunters, a floating city of ordnance. They're not here for the scenery. And across the water, the Iranians have built a second navy, Faster than the first, smaller, swarm tactics, hundreds of speedboats, each one cheap enough to lose, missiles hidden in converted shipping containers, underwater mines the old kind, the kind that don't need guidance systems because the water is shallow enough to not need them. Two different theories of war, both aimed at the same 21 miles. The strait doesn't take sides, it just waits. The strait has been contested since before the word oil meant anything. The Portuguese held it in the 1500s. Hormuz was a city then, an island kingdom so rich that a traveler once wrote that the world was a ring, and Hormuz was the jewel. The Portuguese saw that jewel and took it. They built a fort. They taxed everyone who passed. The Persians took it back. Then the Dutch tried. Then the British came and stayed for 100 years, calling it the Persian Gulf, while the Arabians called it the Arabian Gulf. And the water didn't care what either side called it. In the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq War, both sides attacked tankers. They called it the Tanker War. The world still bought the oil. The tankers kept sailing, even burning, because they had to, because the alternative was worse. It's always been like this. The names change, the flags change, the weapons get more expensive, but the strait stays 21 miles wide, and the tankers keep going through. They say oil's days are numbered. They've been saying it for 30 years. Maybe they're right. Maybe in 20 years the world burns less of the stuff and the strait becomes less important. Maybe electric grids and hydrogen pipelines make this particular choke point irrelevant. Maybe. But right now, today, this minute, there is no backup plan. There is no pipeline that replaces this. There is no alternate route that handles these volumes. If you want the oil, it goes through here. The strategists have a word for a place that cannot be allowed to fail. A single point of failure that everyone pretends isn't one. They call it a systemic vulnerability. The sailors who pass through it every 17 minutes have a different word. They call it Tuesday. Somewhere right now, a captain is standing on a bridge, watching two shores he can almost reach out and touch. He's done this 100 times. He'll do it again. He doesn't think about geopolitics. He doesn't think about red lines or fifth fleets or the price of crude in Rotterdam. He thinks about the channel markers. He thinks about the depth. He watches the instruments. And then he's through 21 miles and everything on the other side of it.